Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and one of the things that comes up oftentimes for those who write programs and put programs out, and we read what people do with our programs, and we get the complaints that people occasionally give about them, is that people like to change our programs. And you guys know I've kind of have said in the past, if you don't have a background in training programming, you haven't read at least a couple of books on it. I would say if you haven't read cover to cover at least some things like practical programming and super training and things like that, cover to cover a couple times, it's probably not the best idea for you to write your own programs. It's not to say you can't get good results, because anytime you train hard, you're probably going to get good results, unless you just genetically cannot gain muscle, which there is a subsection of people who cannot do so. But the thing is, if you are changing someone else's program, if you are taking a program because you know that you can't write the best program possible for yourself, so you are taking a proven, well-written program that tons of people have run, possibly written by a very skilled expert, that has worked for thousands of people, and you start modifying it, you're still going back to the same thing that you were doing. That you're trying to write your own program or make major changes to a program that has worked for a large number of people already. And the truth is, a lot of us like to feel like we're special, that we're unique snowflakes. Our mother told us that we were a special, unique snowflake growing up, but when it comes to training response, we are not as unique and different as we would like to think we are. Most people do not need specialized training programs. They don't need a custom written program until they start getting very competitive or towards the advanced level as a lifter. The majority of people are going to respond to any well-written program that has enough variation in it already written. For example, things like weight resets based upon individual progression rates. The ability to add certain accessories, a bit of flexibility with accessories and things. If those things are already in there, they already account for your genetic differences and variability, and they're not as large as people would like to think that they are. They just really aren't. The only exceptions are oftentimes the people who are extremely genetically gifted, but for them, it doesn't matter what they do. If you are very, very genetically gifted, that top 1% to 0.5% as far as gaining muscle and gains go, you're going to blow up if you train hard, maybe if you just train at all, even if it's not hard, even on a terrible program. They're just genetically gifted. And then there are people who can't gain muscle at all. There are people who genetically are incapable of gaining a single ounce of muscle from lifting, and that's been found to be a genetic subset, unfortunately. Those two groups are kind of the exception. Everyone else is going to respond similarly to different programs. They might have slightly different muscle balance due to their genetics. Some people are going to gain muscle a little faster and a little slower, but the overall response is going to be the same. You don't really need a custom program. And one of the big mistakes that I see people make who start changing these programs or modifying them to any great extent, they start changing things like the frequency in a program. They start adding additional exercises. They start changing major exercises out. If certain exercises were selected to create a certain strength balance, then what ends up happening is that those people get lesser results, or they have issues to where they don't recover properly. They're not properly addressing their overreaching, underreaching cycles. They tend to have problems. They stall faster on the programs, they make less results, and then they blame the program itself or the coach who wrote it because they didn't get the results that they anticipated. And the truth is, it's oftentimes because they made unnecessary and unfavorable changes to the program that actually made it less effective. So remember, guys, if you don't really know how to write a program well enough to write a full program, you shouldn't make major changes to anyone else's program. Either you trust them to write you a program, or you do not. And remember, if you change a program, it's really not fair to the program itself to claim that it didn't work when it was actually your own choice to make changes to it that very well could have caused it to fail for you. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh, Mount Bicepius.